this in Christ our name. Amen.
Amen. Now I call upon Professor Naveen Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Patrician College of Arts and Science, to introduce the resource person.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce the speaker for the day, Dr. C. Vijayalakshmi. She is currently Associate Professor in the Department of Statistics and Applied Mathematics, Central University of Tamil Nadu, Tiruvallur. She did her PG in Operations Research and Computer Applications from NIT Trichy and awarded PhD from Manonmaniyam Sundaranaru University. Her research topic was stochastic processes, general bulk queues, and their applications. She has more than 24 years of teaching and research experience and 2 years of industrial experience. She worked as a professor in the Department of Mathematics, School of Advanced Sciences, VIT Chennai, and also served as an Assistant Director, Student Welfare at VIT Chennai. She has published more than 122 papers in international and national journals, and 10 of her papers received the Best Paper Awards. She has guided more than 16 students for their doctoral degree. She also published 4 books for BE and ME students of Anna University. She has received several awards. Few of them are Best Teacher Awards for the year 2003 and 2007 from Satyabama University, Chennai, Bharat Jyoti Award in the year 2005 for Academic Excellence in New Delhi, Best Professor from Pondicherry Government for the year 2012, Best Professor of the Year 2013 from VIT University, Best Professor Award from International Lions Club of the Year 2004, Research Appreciation Awards from VIT University for the year 2015 to 2019, Best Professor Award the year 2017 by Ratnam Group of Institution, Coimbatore. We are happy to have such an eminent resource person to share her knowledge with us. Once again, we welcome you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Naveen. The much awaited moment has come. I would like to call upon Dr. C. Vijayalakshmi, Associate Professor, Department of Statistics and Applied Mathematics, Central University of Tamil Nadu, Tiruvallur, to present her talk.
A respected and honorable Principal Ma'am, Dr. Usha George, Professor Joseph, Head of the Department, Professor Nagarjun, Dr. Fatima Ma'am, Academic Director, Professor Sriram Sir, Professor Nagarjun Sir, Professor Christy Ma'am, Dr. Marina, Dr. Lindsay, and Professor Naveen Sir. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. And my dear participants, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached by Swami Vivekananda. First of all, I would like to thank Almighty and all the professors and the coordinators of Patrician College for giving me an opportunity to share some of my ideas with respect to fuzzy optimization models with real-time applications. Joseph sir, am I audible?
Very clear.
Okay. And this is all related to real-time applications. My background is from optimization techniques. Then I moved on to data analytics, machine learning, and fuzzy optimization. Even though I had done my doctoral degree under optimization of stochastic process and bulk queuing theory, there were many real-time applications related to this. So to start with, fuzzy sets. What is this fuzzy sets? How it came to picture? So far we didn't have it, but there is a beautiful story behind. It was introduced by Jade in 1965 and fuzzy logic was introduced by him in 1975. And this played a vital role in which whenever we say some kind of vagueness is there, and this, how to eliminate this vagueness. And so we just entered into the next step of membership. And when we just had membership, there were already fuzzy sets existing. What is the difference between fuzzy sets and classical set theory? So what is this fuzzy? Why do we call it as fuzzy? So many definitions came out: ambiguity, vagueness, uncertainty, and then people moved on to some linguistic variables, crisp number, etc. But ultimately, the decision was like how to find a beautiful decision was this fuzzy, because sometimes something happened without our knowledge, in which some uncertainty happens, some vagueness is there. So how do we define this? The basic fuzzy set and membership function. Suppose if we have U as a collection of objects and we define that as small x, then the fuzzy set, we define this as ordered pairs. What is this ordered pair? For each and every value of x, there exists one y. That is our two-dimensional geometry. But here, this is defined as a membership function. That means the value should be present over there in that particular range or within the bounds. And the range is defined as it is lying between 0 and 1. And what is this U? Capital U always, in normal set theory, we try to say capital S, capital E, the sample space, entire domain. But here, universe of discourse is defined as capital U. That means if I choose one small element X, that X should be present in the universe. So we move on to the next part of membership function. What is this membership function? Crisp set representation. It should be a crispy one. That means whenever we try to say some story or something like that to our teachers or the senior mentors, they always say that put it in a crispy way. That means what I needed, in what way my objective is being obtained. So here, before entering into crisp set representation, we have to define the characteristic function. So normally in discrete mathematics or graph theory or anything like, if particular node is being connected, we try to say, yes, it is connected. There is a path existing from this node to the next node or from this vertex to next vertex. Similarly, when we talk about the stochastic, we try to say that we try to define a Markov graph saying that there exists a path. So give 1. If it not, it is 0. Like that here also, if the element X is present in capital A, the function of that particular element in the universe, then we allocate the functional value as 1, if not 0. If this is the case, after expressing the characteristic function, we move on to the membership function. Membership function is always defined as mu A. That means the capital X belongs to 0, 1. And in the same way how it is defined previously, but a small change over here, when X is totally in that particular capital A, we give the value 1. If it is not the case, 0. But there are chances. X may be present or partly present in that A. We define a range. What is that range? My membership function will lie from 0 to 1. That is the idea behind. So graphically speaking, we can have this fuzzy membership function in different ways. There are some chances where when should I use this particular problem in real-time scenario by expressing it as a triangular fuzzy number, when it should be trapezoidal, and when it should be Gaussian, when it should be a bell-shaped. Normally, when we talk about bell-shaped or Gaussian random process, it follows normal distribution. What is it normal? It looks like a bell-shaped curve. It is symmetric with respect to y-axis. All these things we have been very much familiar. But when we talk about this triangular or trapezoidal, we always think about it. What type of triangular? How do you define it with respect to trapezoidal? So when we just look into this particular picture, what is being displayed over here? Triangular. I have 3 different values I have given over here. 3, 6, 8. That means 3 things are being noted over here. For example, average, middle, high. And trapezoidal, 4 values have been depicted. 1, 5, 7, 8 as a sample where it is touching that curve, and I can have different type of explanation or identification for this. But Gaussian and bell-shaped is a continuous flow where I try to have the values in between also. Now, triangular membership function, how do I define this? And trapezoidal membership function, how do I define it? So when we draw a ray like 0 to infinity or minus infinity plus infinity, I have the in-between points A, B, C. So let us have A first point, B second point, C third point. So in this real axis, if I'm going to locate a small value of x which belongs to the original membership function, and how do I define that x is less than or equal to A, lower bound, my left hand side. The next one is if my x is lying between A and B, is my second interval. The third interval is B to C. The last interval is when my x is greater than or equal to C. What is happening? So on the left extreme, when x is less than or equal to A, my functional value is 0. And x is greater than or equal to C, also my functional value is 0. But if it is going to be a trapezoidal membership function, in that case, I try to define it in a different way of, that is, you could see it like, once again, I have 4 values inside my array, that is in the array, minus infinity plus infinity if you keep it. First value is A, B, C, D. So I define this trapezoidal membership function when my x is less than or equal to A, then automatically 0, and x is greater than or equal to D, the upper bound, that is also 0. But the first interval, I define it as A to B. Then I define it as x minus A divided by the difference of the bounds, B minus A, upper bound minus lower bound. Then if it is between B and C, I clearly give the value as 1, which is not at all present in the triangular membership function. We move on to the next interval, C and D, it is defined. Now, what is crisp set? What is fuzzy set? Now, when we see that crisp set, how crisp set is being defined over here? I have A inside this and B over here. I call this as a crisp set boundary. But when I talk about X to be the universe of disclosure, the fuzzy set boundary, how it is being defined over here, that is boundary. So I consider the universe of disclosure over here. Next, fuzzy set operations. As we are all aware that many times we come across arithmetic operations and Boolean operations, etc., etc. For design of electrical or electronic circuit also, we have different types of gates like NAND gate, NOR gate, etc. But here we use some operations over here, union. In ordinary set theory, when we say union, I have one set capital A, I have one set capital B. And when I say A union B, I try to unite both the elements and put it as A union B. And when I say A intersection B, the common elements present in both the sets, I define it as A intersection B. But here, in fuzzy set operations, when I have A is one set, I define it as mu A of X. What is that? Membership function of that X. Then mu B of X. That means B is one set, which is defined as a fuzzy set. It belongs to the membership of X. Then I find the maximum of these two fuzzy sets, which I define it as A union B. And mu A union B is the union of membership functions of that set. Intersection, how do I define the minimum of these two sets? That is once again a fuzzy set. So when we see this diagram, how it is being depicted, we could see that the minimum and the maximum, anyway, the range is going to be between 0 and 1 on the X and Y axis, where X axis is my values and mu is my membership values. Now, how do I use this complement? As usual, complement is, I have a very big set where, for example, I define the main set to be Patrician College, and inside I have professors from mathematics division. When I say complement, the professors who are not inside mathematics division is defined to be complement, and I define it as P of X bar equal to 1 minus P of X. That is complement. Here also, we define the complement of the fuzzy set in terms of mu A bar. That means mu is my membership function and A is being located over there and it is going to be A bar. A bar is defined as a complement. And fuzzy number. How do I define this fuzzy number? When we talk about this fuzzy number, we have it as if I locate X. On the left hand side, my X is decreasing. On the right hand side, my X is increasing. So when I say X, it is on the perfect line. Near X, So in mathematics, calculus, we always say neighborhood points. Here also it is defined as near x. It may lie on the left side or right side. If it is lying on the left side, I say my neighborhood point of x is x minus 1. On the right side, it is x plus 1. Almost x. Almost x means it is going to be the region covered from x minus 2 to x plus 2, what is being defined in the original diagram. So crisp and fuzzy sets. So I want to analyze with respect to the different students present in my class, saying that the height. So the heights are being taken for each and every student. And how do I define this degree of membership and whether it belongs to fuzzy or not? So I define it, the degree of this is going to be either a triangular number or a trapezoidal number or a Gaussian, etc. So I draw one line saying that if you're taller to this line, then I consider to be tall. If you're below this line, I try to say that it's not like that. Similarly, in computer science, we have some SVM, support vector machine algorithms, where if I have so much of data available like COVID data in this pandemic situation, we do not know how to classify it. We use some clustering algorithms to classify. But if I have a very sparse data which cannot be accommodated, in a hyperplane geometry, I try to draw two lines, upper plane and lower plane, and values which are lying above this line, I define it as one cluster, and which is lying below is another cluster. So the same concept is being used over here, but this is going to be crisp. AlphaCut. This is one of the famous algorithm, and your just ranking index is also famous. What is the meaning of this? Is like we try to define a fuzzy set, and that capital X is the main set, A is a subset. So we try to say A is contained in capital X, or A is the subset of that. So if I choose one level set for that defined as alpha, then my membership function is always greater than or equal to that level. If that is the case, I define it to be AlphaCut. For example, X is 1, 2, 3. And I have a set 0.1 by 1 plus 0.5 divided by like that. So we try to define this AlphaCut based on elements present over there with respect to the values 0.5, 0.1 and 1. Yargis ranking. What is Yargis ranking is based on my AlphaCut of fuzzy number. I try to have an upper bound cut and then lower bound cut. Then when I integrate, what is the meaning of integration? I try to divide it into equal parts, then sum it up. Then the range is going to be between 0 and 1. How did I fix my limits? By the basic definition of my membership function, the range should be between 0 and 1. Now, fuzzy is on one side, optimization is on another side. So how we are going to combine this and make it as a fuzzy optimization is the next challenging mission. So what is optimization? Optimization is the process of finding the maximum minimum value for function subject to set of constraints with non-negative restrictions. And this is being derived from calculus. I think we still remember our 10th teachers or higher secondary teachers. To find out the maxima and minima, they always tell us, come on children, y equal to some function. Differentiate it first time with respect to x, dy by dx, equate it to 0. And when you equate it to 0, you can get some points from that. If it is going to be single degree, linear degree, I will get 1 point. If it is going to be more than that, then I get 2 points like that. We call this as critical points. So what is the use of this critical point? So the teacher would have told you like, go for the next derivative. What is dy by dx? The rate of change of with respect to a particular parameter. It may be speed, it may be velocity, it may be time, anything. But I'm trying to locate it as rate of change. So if this is the case, when we find out this d square y by dx square, then our teachers would have told us like, come on, check whether it is greater than 0 or less than 0. Then if it is the case, it attains maxima and minima, then go back to the objective function, original function, then substitute. So that is the basic thing. But here, when we talk about optimization, it is related to that where you have constraints. So many constraints I can have. Labor constraint, machine constraint, man constraint. I'm running a company in which I'm producing or manufacturing 3 different types of products. My MD says that Come on, Vijayalakshmi, you have to run this with the given resource person, that is the allocated limited resources with this particular time, like that. So my equations or polynomials will not be like x plus y equal to 2, x minus y equal to 3. When I solve this by different types of numerical methods, I get a unique solution. But my constraint, within the limited one, I try to define it as ax less than or equal to b. What is this ax? X is my unknown. I'm producing 3 different types of products: x1, x2, x3. And a is my coefficient. Less than or equal to b. What is b? B is my available resources in my company. So if I take time, then I should say like within 4 hours I should do, means I should finish all my production manufacturing within 4 hours. So I keep on the variable as x1, x2, x3, 3 different types of products. So 3x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 less than or equal to 4 hours. So like that, I can have the relational operators as the constraints: less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, equal to. What about my objective function? My objective function can be a single objective or multiple objective. If it is single objective, I want to minimize my cost, then it is understood that minimizing the cost is maximizing the profit. I can have multiple objectives also, subject to so many constraints, and all these constraints should follow non-negative restrictions. What is the meaning of non-negative restrictions? It should be positive. All the variables, all my xi's should be positive. Like in probability, we try to say the axioms, it should be positive. That is summation pi equal to 1 and all my pi's are positive. That means when I toss a coin, I should not say that probability of getting a head is minus half. Probability of getting a head is half. Probability of getting a tail is half. Same concept is being noted over here. And this, where do we use this optimization? Applications: architecture, nutrition, electrical circuits, economics, transportation. In day-to-day life, in all engineering disciplines, we use it. I'm just displaying one picture over here. That is a baseline aircraft. This is long back, which is being designed. Nowadays, we try to travel in car. Like sometimes we try to say that the car which we travel, Vento, for example, the seat is very good. But when we just go by some other car, we try to say that I get back pain or something like that. So when the research was done, like they found it, the mechanical and other engineers, they found it, aeronautical engineers also, they found it like the baseline aircraft in which with respect to AC cycle, how it has to take with respect to the solar radiation. So previously when it was designed, the main objective was to minimize the weight. That is for the baseline aircraft. So it took 350 W bar m square for solar radiation. When the optimized aircraft was launched, it was just 150. So similarly, this is a single objective. When you go for multiple objective, they took the exterior temperature, interior temperature, and checked whether all these parameters are being taken care. One more optimized system configuration I'm showing it. This optimized system configuration, when we talk about, this is the standard system efficiency. When we simply look into these two pictures I have shown it over here. In the second picture, you could see that some part is missing. That's what blindly we always think about. But the mechanical standard equipment design, which has been developed over here, where they stated the problem, the concept was developed, designed, validated, then optimization techniques were implemented, then manufacturing, then they went for the final. Now the thing is like, what are the different parameters they have used to optimize this? Is like efficiency, utility, energy, cost, power loss. So we could see that the power loss in this particular configuration system, it was 7.1 initially, the standard system which was launched. But when it was optimized, the configuration and other things, we could see that the power loss and efficiency is just 1.2. So how optimization techniques play a vital role in all these things. Next, this is a dam like, and we could see like we have some water scarcity nowadays, like, and people always blame like why nothing is there to store all these water when flood is there, something like that. But Optimal design of civil engineering, two different objectives were taken: maximum efficiency at the same time, minimum cost. Now, one small boy, he is going to mall to get a t-shirt for him. So what is the first question the shopkeeper in the mall will ask? He'll ask, what is the size? What size you want, baby? He will say some size. But there are chances the manufacturer who has done for XL or triple XL or the medium size or below range L may not fit for this particular boy. So he will say that, bring me all these. So optimize. It comes to our mind that the main thing is like to attain the best solution. But 90% we don't get the best solution. We try to say that a feasible solution and then the appropriate solution for my problem in the real-time scenario. And where we use it in production, planning, and control. So as discussed already, the necessary and sufficient conditions in class that is related to calculus for maxima and minima. When we talk about the optimization tree, what is this optimization tree? It starts with the first branch is continuous, discrete. Then we move on to different things: unconstrained, constrained, integer, stochastic, etc., etc. Now, currently, the booming factor is like people are using machine learning algorithms, and the base is going to be the statistical techniques and optimization techniques. And this is going to be how they try to find out a solution for a model and how do they formulate a real-time problem. And I'm just listing out some other engineering applications where the design has been done with high computational cost and the simulation makes them to have the optimized value. And these are some of the RF engineering, aerospace, aeroacoustics, hydrodynamics, and ocean engineering also it plays a vital role. And ocean models. Now we could see that we could generate power or energy, and we have done research from different types of sources like bio, mass, thermal, hydro. But now from tidal, are we in a position to generate power so that it may be useful for the society? Then the next one is we go for solar energy. How to achieve that solar energy, wherein optimization techniques play a vital role, that is genetic algorithm. And this is, we could see that so much of traffic congestion, and where we always say that, see, I am bored, I am frustrated. What is the reason behind in Chennai? The main reason is like we could not, waiting time has to be reduced. The major companies, the great companies in the globe, Kellogg's, the largest cereal producer, and what they use linear programming problem, and in which they could save $4.5 million in the year 1995 with respect to production, inventory, and distribution. And we are all aware this Procter & Gamble, that is, it's a consumer goods company, where they could also save $200. The only thing is, they designed a beautiful inventory and distribution system in North America. HP is such a big company. We all have dreams that we should be placed over there. They used supply chain management in the year 2004. That means it is an advanced inventory optimization. So when there is a demand, how to get the supply. And when there is no demand, how to distribute the goods in such a way that we will be in a position to obtain our optimized earnings. So basically, let us bring a flow chart before us, a real-time practical problem, and we convert it into a mathematical optimization problem. Try to design an algorithm, then computerize it by using either MATLAB or any tool, Lingo, Thoro, etc. Then we design a decision support software system, and we test it with real-time data, and finally we come to a decision. So this is a decision support interface system, information system, and a team effort, how it supports us with respect to the analyst, resource person, computer science, and the system analyst. Now, I'm going to take you to a real-time problem. This is a basic real-time problem, because sometimes whenever we do research, our teacher must be telling, our guide or mentor or supervisor must be telling some scenario, some problem, like, but we will understand the problem nicely and we will analyze nicely, but we will have small problem. That is not we, I should say me. Okay, I'm sorry for it. I always face a problem, how to convert a real-time problem into a mathematical problem. So suppose I have a feel that I'm working and nobody's there to take care of my children at home. So I go and find out a creche or creche or a daycare. Suppose Patrician College is ready to give me some land inside the college. This is for fun, okay? And some land is allotted over there to start a creche. So when I start a creche, I'm the MD of the creche. So what will I have it in my mind? Okay, let me admit so many children inside my creche and allocate some workers inside, and the workers should be very good. They should possess some skills so that so many parents will come and make the children inside my creche so that I can earn money. So what is my objective? My objective is to minimize the cost and maximize the profit when I run it. So how do I go it? Imagine, bring the problem before your mind, saying that I'm the owner of a creche, daycare. So what is daycare? It is staff rostering problem. So consider a child care center, which I'm going to start in your college. And I just think what are all the constraints I will have. First one, it is operating 5 days per week. Because if I say 7 days per week, I won't get a nice staff to take care of my people. So initially I say 5 days per week. How many staff members? Okay, let me initially admit 10 staff members, because most staff members, if I allocate, then I have to give salary to them. So next is like each staff member is paid at an agree, that is, I say that I will pay you this much. On what basis I will pay money for you? You should possess some skill. Say for example, they are all children, no? So you should be good in dance, music, teach them different types of talents so that the parents will be happy. You will also be happy. I will also be happy. So if you possess some skills and if you come to the creche perfectly, take care of all the children, and if you meet out all the requirements and demands, then I will pay you money. That is my agreed. So 1 shift per day. Next, what are the different types of skills I want to have from my staff members? Singing, dancing, arts, sports, reading, writing, moral stories, etc. Then what are the constraints? Skill demand. What is skill demand? The constraints. Okay. What is my constraint? First constraint is, if a particular staff member is not good in singing and the child wants the particular staff member to sing, and if she doesn't or he doesn't sing, then automatically the complaint will go to the parents. So they'll take away the child. So they should possess skill demand. Equitability breaks. That means, see, we have to think nicely. At least 2 days. What is the meaning of at least in mathematics? Greater than or equal to 2. At most 4 days. Less than or equal to 4. So I am finding a bound. A particular person who is joining my creche, since I'm the MD, they should work 2 to 4 days. On each day or any day, there must be at least 4 staff members. How many staff members? Initially, I recruit 10 staff members. At least 4. That means greater than or equal to 4. What is my objective? My objective function is to minimize the cost. It doesn't mean that I have to pay less money to my people. See, I have to take care of the quality, the quantity. At the same time, my objective is maximum earning, profit. So when I have it like this, first I should think, my first step is, it should be treated as an integer linear programming. If it is integer linear programming, what type of values you should take? 0, 1, 2, you should not take 0.2, 1.1, 2.4. Binary, as already we discussed, it is Boolean. It should take either 0 or 1. I will just give a small example over here. If some Bobby is coming to my creche to work as a staff member, if Bobby comes and she possesses some skills, I will give 1 repeated. If not, I'll give 0. So I try to fit it as a Boolean variable. If Xij, ith person coming on a jth day, I will give 1 rupee. If not, 0 rupee. That is the way how I make it as a mathematical model. Now see how this real-time creche problem has been converted into an integer linear programming. I'll just tell you, like, Double summation. Why am I using double summation? First one is I is first variable, k is second variable. What is ith variable? 1 to 10. What is this 1 to 10? The number of faculty members or staff members in my creche, 10 members. What is k variable? 1 to 7, 7 days in a week. What is CI? CI is daily wage I am paying. What is XIK? I put it as a Boolean variable. What is Boolean variable? If ith staff work on kth day, I give 1 rupee. So my objective is the product of daily wage given to a particular staff who has attended the duty on that day. So my objective is to minimize the cost. What are my constraints? First constraint, skill demand. What is skill demand? AIJ. What is AIJ? I have one staff who is coming on a particular day but should possess skill. If that is the case, I treat it as a Boolean, I give 1, if not 0. So that particular staff, the product with respect to skill possessing should be greater than. Why I'm not telling less than or equal to? Because this D is the requirement. That means my staff should be very good than my demand. If that is the case, then automatically I can entertain more people inside my niche. My first constraint is perfect. What is my second constraint? I call it as a equitability. What is equitability? I define it as a name. You can have any name. This equitability is like my XIK. What is XIK? A particular staff who is working on a particular day. What is this 2 and 4? Hope you remember at least 2, at most 4. Like that I had something. So I'm putting it as a range. That is my equitability. That the third one, workplace regulations. I gave one statement as a condition. At least 4 staff members should be present on any day. What is that? At least greater than or equal to. How many staff members are there? 10 staff members. So if I say at least 4 staff members, it is indirectly I'm trying to say that all the staff members should be present on any day, then automatically they'll be paid. So our beautiful real-time creech problem has been converted as a staff rostering problem as an optimization integer linear programming. And this particular problem, I have included only 3 constraints, and this is going to be single objective. You can have n number of constraints. Say, for example, one more constraint I can say, initially I'm having only 1 shift. Now I can increase it to 2 shifts. That means more people can come, more staff members can be accommodated. So automatically I'll have a proper profit. That is my objective is optimized. The last one, XIK belongs to 0, 1. It's a Boolean variable because it belongs to the domain. And in that domain, 0 and 1 acts as a Boolean. What is Boolean? If a particular staff on a particular day works and if they possess some skill, I pay money. So I define it here as a Boolean. But normally, in many of the optimization problems, we try to say that Xij is greater than or equal to 0. Now, I can just solve this problem by using either MATLAB or Lingo or Thoro or any software, or I can use some linear programming, two-phase method, bigger method, etc. I can just solve it. Now, what is the need of the decision support system? Now, I have some problems in my constraints. What is that? If suppose some teacher is absent on a particular day, how am I going to replace that particular teacher in that? So the staff profile, annual leave, shift preferences, reserving staff, all these different types, I have to include it in my constraints. So this is my start of the creed. So I have only 3 constraints as a single objective. I can convert this problem to a multi-objective with n number of constraints, and maybe 100 also. So what are the other issues and challenges in my daycare? Breaks. Some teacher may go for some leave. So scheduled breaks have to be given. Then annual leave I should give. Then understaffing issues, some festive breaks. One may be Muslim, one may be Christian. So based on their thing, they wanted to take leave. Then limit the number of working hours. Because if I increase my number of hours, more people will be accommodated. But I have to see that what are the problems my staff members face. So equitable roster. And night shift, I cannot have it because it's a daycare. And train. Some teachers may be good in one skill. So I have to do some training for all these or some kind of orientation program for my faculty members in such a way that they will be more trained and daily the meeting demands can be met. So we have the other applications over here, health, and at present we are using in this particular optimization techniques in healthcare also. So we have one project, like we call this as a inventory. And how do we use this? We can solve it by Force OP or Express, or some people they use Excel sheet also. Like, so I'm entering into the next application. The next, hope you must have enjoyed the previous application. My next application is warehouse inventory. So I want to have a very big warehouse and I'm producing, manufacturing different types of products day and night, and I have a problem in inventory. How? Where should I have the inventory? The location of the inventory. How do I distribute the items from one place to another place without any collision? And the next one is my distribution should be perfect reaching also from source to destination. I can transport things from this proper Chennai to Tiruvallur. Like that, I had to plan. So a linear programming problem under optimization plays a vital role. So we call it as a what if tool. So I'll just move on to the problem statement. We could see that we have a diagram over here. In this, the red color encircled one cross is customer, and the warehouse is defined like that. I have a transportation cost and warehouse very large capacity. That means so many items can be accommodated over there, and it is modeled as a integer linear programming problem. So this is the thing, like, and I can have warehouses in different places, and I could see like how much I can accommodate it in a particular warehouse and what is the distance it has to be traveled to reach that particular place. Okay, so I have the assumptions with me, like how much of cost it will be there. So the mathematical model, like our rostering problem, it has been designed, and in this we can solve it by, it is being solved by MATLAB, and I have two different types of optimization as a summation subject to two constraints over here. And now, what are the problems we face in this? Scenario one. Scenario one is like, my warehouse is very small. So what happens? Scenario two, my warehouses, the operating cost or the holding cost is very large compared to the transportation. That means transportation I can manage, but holding it in a particular place and paying rent in the middle of the city or center of the city is difficult. Scenario three, both warehouse and the transportation costs are competing. That means both are high. See, I have an arrow mark. I'm trying to draw a network. What shall I do? Where can I have this warehouse in such a way that my inventory management should be perfect? Scenario four, both warehouse and transportation costs are competing, and my warehouse is very small. I cannot go for rent by paying a very big advance, right? So what are the problems and what are the limitations? And if my cost function is too much heavy and I have to face all the uncertain demand, where do I use? So we use this linear programming model. This is the general thing. Optimize z equal to cx subject to the constraints ax less than or equal to b or greater than or equal to b or equal to b, where b is my availability resources. What is happening in my inventory? Am I utilizing the entire resources inside my inventory warehouse? So we wanted to have something fuzzy optimization. Now I'm mixing fuzzy on one hand, optimization on the other hand. I'm trying to mix this to find out the maximum minimum value of fuzzified functions. And I have so many constraints. So let me find out the value of this alpha and substitute my optimization problem subject to so many constraints, so that I can have a decision properly in which my objective is being satisfied based on my constraints. So Zimmermann fuzzy model is the base or the background of this fuzzy linear programming model, where we try to have two different things. One is the aspiration level and the tolerance. And when this aspiration level is set and we try to find out like the tall and short, is this level is below or above, we set if the value is lying near in the neighborhood of the point, then we try to give some tolerance value. So this linear programming problem, when we could see that how the fuzzy decision is being taken. The first one is, which has been drawn over here in blue color, membership function of the constraint. And on the right hand side, I have the membership function of the objective. And it looks like a bell-shaped curve. It is normalized. And the black color, it depicts the membership function of the decision. So first I should be in a position to have a membership function for the constraint, then objective, then based on that, the decision has to be dealt. And these are the applications of fuzzy optimization. Now I'm combining fuzzy and optimization to take a proper decision to run my company. And the basic model is, some inputs are there with me, U1, U2, etc. UN. We try to convert this as a crisp input. Then we go for fuzzification. Then there is an inference mechanism and rule based over here. We have to design the rules, like how the creche or the daycare system, I define the rules. All the people should be there. If we could not accommodate, let us have 2 shifts, like that. The rules have to be designed in such a way that it satisfies all the constraints. Then we have to go for defuzzification. This looks like fuzzification, defuzzification. Then we get conclusion. And once based on this conclusion, the nice outputs are being obtained such a way that my objective is satisfied. Let us consider a very small example. This has been already published by us. The following things like, and it's a real-time scenario problem where we have tested our model with real-time data. The traveling salesman, we are not very much familiar with traveling salesman problem. What is traveling salesman problem? Route conditions. He has to start from the headquarters. Say for example, Chennai is the headquarters. Then he has to travel through many cities. And what is the first condition? He has to travel each and every city only once. Then he wants to come to Tiruvarur, is my destination. He has to go back to Chennai, is my TSP. That is traveling salesman problem. And we try to say that it is symmetric or asymmetric. Let us just consider. So where do we apply this? It is being applied. The main thing is applied in military service and GSM routing. And this TSP plays a vital role in telecommunication networks and in bioinformatics as genome sequencing. So what is objective? Our main objective is like, it is not a single objective. When the traveling salesman travels from the headquarters and trying to travel so many cities, and each city he visited by only once, and he is reaching the destination, he is going back. So what are the things we are facing? First one, cost. Second one, time. How much of time he is taking from particular city to another city? Say for example, he starts his journey from Chennai, he moves on to the next city, Chengalpattu. Then how much distance? Distance is my third parameter. Fourth one, fuel cost. How much he is spending? Then vehicle maintenance cost, etc. So we can define an intuitionistic fuzzy model on this and compare the model with respect to the existing fuzzy optimization such a way that we can come to a conclusion that are we in a position to reduce the cost? That is our objective. So this particular thing, this paradigm for traveling salesman problem in a fuzzy. Why did I go for fuzzy environment? Why should I combine this optimization and fuzzy? Because already we are all very much familiar with Hungarian algorithm. The reason is sometimes it is too vague and ambiguity falls. I do not know whether this guy really went from this place to this place. Or a marketing salesman who is being appointed in Tamil Nadu, who is a Telugu guy, is he able to do it perfectly by traveling? All these things are vague and ambiguity. So to resolve this with multi-objective, it is not a single objective, so many parameters I'm trying to optimize it under fuzzy environment. So I move on to the model. This individual objective function is a link from ith city to jth destination. This is a decision variable. We have to be very much careful whether it is going to be ordinary parametric variable, decision variable, controlled variable, uncontrolled variable. So here I define if a particular person is traveling from Chennai to Tiruvarur, Chennai is ith city, Tiruvarur is jth city, I define it as 1 because there exists a link between the ith source and jth destination. This is my decision variable. And what is parameters and variables? The cost is involved, distance, time, fuel cost, make vehicle maintenance, and traveling allowance I have to give. Then he will do the things very fast. Now I'm introducing the fuzzy. What is this fuzzy? With respect to cost, I have to assign with respect to all the parametric variables which you discussed in the previous thing. We have to assign the fuzzy aspiration levels. And this aspiration levels, we have to design it perfectly, and it is not under assumption also. And when we give it based on this aspiration levels, for each and every aspiration level, for each and every parameter, a tolerance level has to be fit. If it is going to be very near to that value, I give nice value. If it is apart, I reduce and give. This looks like when we travel by Uber or Olo, we just try to see that. If it is too far or something like that, and driver is giving so many troubles or something like that, the tolerance will go out, and we'll try to say that you made the journey horrible, and going to the very shortest distance, you went in different angle like that. So I'm not going to pay you much like that. The tolerance level for each and every parameter like cost, vehicle, etc., are being set based on my aspiration. So how it is designed. Let us bring this traveling salesman problem before us. I have a multi-objective. The first objective is cost. Cij, Xij should be less than or equal to first aspiration. Distance, Z2 is my aspiration level. And this looks like a typical optimization problem, Ax less than or equal to B. And in objective, we normally give it as optimize Z equal to double summation Cij into Xij. Here it is going to be with respect to my aspiration level. So all the aspiration levels with respect to different parameters like Z1 cost, Z2 distance, Z3 time, Z4 fuel cost, Z5 vehicle maintenance, Z6 traveling allowance. I'm not giving a restriction here. These are the only variables. You can have n number of objectives. And now we define a next step. We move on to the next step in the algorithm. We define a matrix. Matrix is like C is this cost, D is distance, T is time, FC is fuel cost, VMC is my vehicle maintenance cost, and TA is traveling allowance. So for each pair of city, for example, 0 to 0, what is happening? 0 to 1, what are the values? So this matrix has to be designed perfectly because these are the values or the coefficients of my objective. Say for example, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6. So 6 variables I have defined. What are those 6 variables? Cost, distance, time, FC, VMC, TA. Let me define cost to be x1, D as x2, like that. We define the variables. How it is being defined? After setting the aspiration level and tolerances, you could see the first objective function, if I describe it clearly, 20x01. What is the meaning of 20x01? From 0th city to first city. What is this 20? 20 is my cost. Next one, 15x02. From 0th city to second one. What is that 15? I should see cost of the second one. Like that. Based on the coefficient, I call this as a coefficient matrix. Based on this coefficient matrix, we fit the first objective function to be my cost, and second objective function along with the tolerance to be my distance, and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all these objective functions are related to the 6 parametric variables, cost, distance, etc., etc. Based on my, and what are my right hand side? We could see that what are my right hand side? 65 is my first tolerance, that is, sorry, aspiration level, and 16. So for each and every parametric variable, I try to fix this aspiration level, and this looks like Ax less than or equal to B, where B is my right hand side availability resources in the general linear programming problem. And now this is going to be a fuzzy multi-objective linear programming. So if we have understood this particular part, how to design it as an equation of an optimization model, we enter into fuzzy membership functions. What is fuzzy membership functions? I have we have cost, distance, time, fuel cost, vehicle maintenance cost, and traveling allowances. So first, mu of Z1. Mu is a membership function for the first variable. What is my first variable? Cost. How do I define this? I think we should remember the basic definition. 65 was my target. If it is greater than or equal to 70 or less than or equal to 65 in my array, what value I should give it? And this is like a demand and supply. If it is between 65 and 70, we define a beautiful membership function by using the complementary nature 1 minus Z1 minus what is 65? My aspiration level divided by what is 5? My tolerance limit. So this is my triangular membership function for the first cost. What is mu of Z2? Fuzzy membership function for the next variable fuel cost. Like that, we can define the membership functions Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, Z5 and Z6 for all the 6 variables. Now, by using alpha, what is alpha here? My desired level. Have I attained the desired level in my objective? Is the traveling salesman has reached? What are the things given to him? Has he completed that? That is my desired level. To get a solution, what is solution? He should finish his traveling perfectly based on the route conditions and all the constraints have to be satisfied. So now we have converted the linear programming problem into a fuzzy multi-objective linear programming with respect to alpha. What is alpha? Objective desired. What is DI? Acceptable. That means, has he traveled all the cities only once? Is there any violation? From Chennai, he has come to Chengalpet, he took rest and he went back to Chennai. That is not correct. So, is this violation acceptable or not? So, we try to have the design of this objective maximize alpha. Now, initially, ordinary optimization linear programming problem is converted to FMOLP, fuzzy multi-objective linear programming by using Max-Min approach where my objective is to maximize alpha. If my alpha is maximized, then automatically my cost will be reduced in the original problem. So subject to all the 6 variables, and these are my constraints. What is this constraint? We said summation xi equal to 1. What is the meaning of that summation xij equal to 1? Double summation xij equal to 1. What is the meaning of that? From 0, the city is going to first city, 0 to 2 city, 0 to third city. If he is able to have this, then I give the value as 1. Like that, we try to find out all the different types of combinations of reaching that particular source to destination. So sometimes exactly he has reached, we try to give it as an exact equal to. Sometimes he is not able to, that is based on that boundary. Oh, we all remember the last constraint was the membership function will lie between 0 and 1. 0 less than membership function less than 1, where 0 and 1 are excluded. And normally the non-negative restrictions in any optimization problem is xij is greater than or equal to 0. But here I should take care of my alpha also. Because fuzzy is on one side, optimization is on another side. Now I should find out this fuzzy value and substitute it in my objective of this such a way that my alpha should also be positive. Now I can solve this problem by using MATLAB, and I could find out for first 3 cases there is no solution, no feasible solution, and we could find out the last one as a, I could not say it is best solution. I could say an approximate solution for this problem. So for this, we wanted to check it with duality. I think in optimization, we must have studied about primal problem, dual problem. Sometimes our teachers would have taught you as like, if this is min problem in primal, in dual it should be max. If this is less than or equal to constraint, that is greater than or equal to. What is the significance of this? That means minimization with respect to cost is same as maximization of profit. If my demand is more and I have produced a lot, then exactly I should be in a position to do it. That is, if it is less than or equal to my production, where my demand is lot, then I say the less than or equal to is being supplied in dual as greater than or equal to. That is the idea behind. So this duality in fuzzy multi-objective linear programming problem, T, what is T? Transpose is being taken over here, and this is the objective linear, the membership function as usual, how I defined it previously, in the same way it is defined, and this is the mathematical, that is optimization model, how it is being defined over here. And sometimes we try to say that normally in any optimization problem, if the objective is minimization, convert that minimization to maximization by multiplying by -1. This is what teacher says, like. But what is the meaning behind? What is the significance behind? It is like minimization of all these costs from 70 rupees to 50 rupees, 50 rupees to 30 rupees, 30 rupees to like that. Automatically, my profit is maximized. And the algorithm, the previous algorithm is repeated, and we have used this. Now, how do I solve this problem? I'm going into the mathematical model, and I'll just skip off the things like, okay. Now, 3 different things I should choose. We are introducing 3 different parameters. One is alpha, beta, gamma. Why are we introducing this? Because I do not know whether these things have to be accepted or rejected or partially. So alpha is defined as the acceptable limit of objectives and constraints, which is lying between 0 and 1. Beta is the degree of rejection of my objectives and constraints. It is not necessary that what are the products I produce in my manufacturing industry, everything should be accepted. There may be some defectives, and I cannot say that very less number of defective only, please take it for 50 rupees or 30 rupees. That is horrible. So what we should do, we have to set some level, and previously all researchers had it in terms of percentage. If it is 90%, the articles are defective, then please reject the entire lot, replace it with a new pack. And if it is going to be 25%, something like that, see to that those items had to be replaced. And I can give a beautiful application. We all aware that Nippon battery, that production, that company is located in Nellore, they are using this principle. How much percentage this has to be accepted. Gamma, what is the third variable? Gamma is like, this is like cat on wall, hesitation. Can I accept it? Can I reject it? So this ambiguity, vagueness, that won't be present in the ordinary optimization. Now I'm into fuzzy. Some kind of vagueness is there. Some kind of randomness is there. Some kind of uncertainty is there. I want to remove this. So I have 3 different types of levels. So these 3 levels, we try to, how the objective function is maximize. Which one has to be maximized? Alpha. That means my acceptable level. And my rejection should be eliminated. My hesitation should be eliminated. That's why we try to define the objective function as alpha minus beta minus gamma. Accepted minus rejection minus hesitation. Then we can set based on the membership functions the constraints. When we have the as usual constraints, and we can have the same problem extended with respect to the different types of parametric variables, cost, distance, time, fuel, etc., aspiration levels, tolerance levels, then the mathematical formulation of the problem, the cost matrix, and objective functions, membership functions. And here we could see membership and non-membership, whether it is inside or outside. I think in mathematics we must study convex, concave function like that. Does it belong to that or it doesn't belong? Then the mathematical formulation with respect to membership functions, the optimization problem is depicted over here. By solving this using MATLAB, we could see that the original method, like the proposed intuitionistic method, we could see that if alpha is 0.43% of my acceptance and beta is rejection is 41% and gamma hesitation is 16%, then my route is perfect. I can minimize my cost. So 1, what is 1? My cost. What is 2? Distance. Like that. This much, if I have it as my aspiration level, then automatically it is understood that I can earn profit. So we wanted to compare it with the existing methods. When we just compare it with the existing methods, in other methods, when alpha is equal to 1, they try to have it as a perfect thing in which the rejection is higher. Then when we say alpha beta with Anglo method, where hesitation was not at all included, but we wanted to include all the three parameters: alpha as acceptance, beta to be rejection, gamma to be hesitation. So when we include all these things, the vagueness, the robustness, all these things are being eliminated. Now we have made a comparative study with respect to all the existing methods on this. Now I wanted to go to the last extension of the next real-time application. So far we have seen three different applications, real-time. Now the fourth real-time application is like how we are solving it and what will happen when we implement this particular mathematical model in unmanned aerial vehicle. What is unmanned aerial vehicle? It is like a robot. So we do or give some instructions to the robot and the robot will take care of all those things, correct? This looks like how in cinema, no? In Rajinikanth movie, it goes on like that. Let us see that. So real-time mission planning with unmanned aerial vehicle. What is unmanned? No people will be present. We just use some button and we try to adjust the levels and see that go in the correct way. Like we could see our children playing with car or something in a remote. So we wanted to convert this problem into an unmanned aerial vehicle. And what is mission planning? Mission planning is the greatest application for military, navy, and other things. Where now recently we could see that so many problems India is facing with respect to China, right? So we could have come across the news like a drone was there. So Indian Army shot that. It was dead actually, like that. Because what is the meaning of a drone shot dead? Is like it became inoperative. So let us see this, how our optimization model helps in this. So we enter into some kind of assumptions. What are the assumptions over here? Like fix a destination and let us have some salesman. First, initially, I'll explain with the salesman, a human person. Then I'll convert the salesman into a robo machine. And the distance, cost, and to start with, I'm having 4 salesmen. And he has to visit the cities 1, 2, 3, 4. We can extend this problem to n number of salesmen with n number of cities also. So how many salesmen with me? 4. And the parameters and variables, the aspiration level and the tolerance level from ith city to jth destination. Maybe we can treat ith to be the first city to be Chennai and j to be Tiruvallur, right? And as usual, we can have the aspiration level and the tolerance values, and the matrix is constructed. And we could see that all the diagonal elements are 0. What is this? This is a beautiful example. When a thief is running, police is catching. Then if the thief stands in one place, automatically the police will catch hold of him. This looks like 0 to 0, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and 4 to 4. So I cannot have for a pair of cities to have my distance in traveling because it is deterministic, mathematically speaking. After constructing the matrix for the first salesman, we can construct it for second salesman, third salesman, fourth salesman, and now we enter into the mathematical model formulation based on my aspiration level and tolerance levels. So the objective functions with respect to these two are given over here. First salesman, and what are the constraints? Alpha. Alpha is my, what is alpha? Alpha is my fuzzy. And based on the membership function, we are defined all the constraints. Now for the second salesman, similarly for the third salesman, similarly for the fourth salesman, we may have a doubt, can I extend it to, you can have n number of salesmen, n number of constraints. Anyway, we are going to solve it by using MATLAB. And numerical calculations, we could see that for the first salesman, if he is going to travel in this particular optimal route with 0.6 to be alpha, then I could see that this much of distance he would have covered. Similarly, for the second salesman, third salesman, and fourth salesman, we can have the optimal route. Even though so many algorithms are present, like Digitros algorithm, Prince algorithm, Kruskals algorithm, anything like, but uncertainty or vagueness or something crispy one, if you want to have it, to make a decision for the traveling salesman to reach that particular place in a particular time. So based on this, we could see that Two things are being optimized. One is distance, another one is cost. And when we tested with the real-time applications, we could see that so much we could reduce the cost. Now we can draw a network and give it in layman point of view to make them to understand from which city to which city he has to travel. This is next network. Now just convert this 4 salesmen with cities to a robo. I'm keeping robo in each and every place. I call this submission planning. Maybe some people from Pakistan, they have entered or something like that, or from China they have entered. How our army will attack them and how our army will give a beautiful layout for them to make go like this, go in this route, and in what way we have to optimize our plan, all these things. So just convert this. To start with, assumptions are fixed targets, how to attack. Second one is the distance and time are our objectives, which has to be minimized. In the minimum distance you try to travel with minimized time and try to attack the target. And UAV, what is UAV? Unmanned aerial vehicle. So how many aerial vehicle? Like 4 salesmen, let me have 4 aerial vehicle. First one, second one, third one. Fix the parameters and variables. Fix the tolerance level and aspiration levels. What is our objective? To minimize the total distance and time. This becomes a multi-objective. And we call this as a fuzzy multi-objective optimization program. We have to draw a flow chart because we are going for a trapezoidal numbers, which is linguistic variables. Let us use alpha cut using fuzzy membership function. We have to rank it. After ranking only, we can apply it in our objective. So when we have this trapezoidal or something like, normally when somebody is asking, how is my child in your class? Is he studying well or sometime? Does he fall in the range of average, middle, topper, like that? Here we have discussed it with very small, small, medium, below medial, large, very large. So extended this representation as the linguistic variables and fuzzy numbers. The matrix. What is S? S when I just go over here small. What is VS? Very small. Like that we consider. Once again, I'm just going over here as a target. From A to A, what is the target? No target for this. A to B, what is happening? A to C, what is happening? So let us finalize the first UAV, first unmanned robo. Then define the membership function with respect to distance and time for the first unmanned aerial vehicle robo. Then we have to fix the alpha cuts for the distance and time. Parallelly, we have to do it. Then ranking matrix has to be given. And next, the objective is to fix the objective function with respect to the aspiration level and target tolerance. So the original objective function is being converted to the fuzzy multi-objective, the n number of constraints. Similarly, we can define the second unmanned aerial vehicle. Similarly, we can fix the objective functions as well as the set of constraints. Similar procedure is adapted for third unmanned robo aerial vehicle. Membership functions, alpha cuts, ranking, same methodology can be adopted. Then we move on to the fourth unmanned aerial vehicle. We represent the linguistic variables with trapezoidal fuzzy numbers. Fix the matrix representation. It is being fixed based on the targets with respect to linguistic variables. Let us design this membership, fuzzy membership with respect to distance and time. Then your ranking method, which is already existing. Then the representation of alpha. Based on this representation only, he'll be in a position to design a beautiful fuzzy multi-objective optimization model. And now somebody is asking, what is optimal route for my robo? For the first unmanned aerial vehicle, we have found the distance, time, which are optimized. Both are minimized and the route. Alpha is 1, perfect. Similarly, second unmanned aerial vehicle with respect to time, distance, and route. Similarly, third unmanned aerial and fourth unmanned variable. So what is the conclusion over here? A mission has to be planned by any people with respect to multiple unmanned. So far I have used only one in a route. Now I can have multiple unmanned. In a particular place, so many are giving threats and attacks, like I can have n number of unmanned aerial vehicles under fuzzy optimization. So what is the main objective over here? Sometimes we try to have a semi-automatic vehicles also, which are located in some depot. That means source or destination. So, but we have to complete the targets. Target means attack them or reach that destination perfectly. So optimal route is very much important. For that optimal route, my distance and time are very, very important. Thank you, professors, for giving me an opportunity to share some of my ideas, how a real-time applications are being converted into mathematical optimization model. And I'm very much thankful to the principal ma'am, Joseph sir, and all the faculty members of this esteemed institution. And thanks to Almighty, without any technological issues, as said in the prayer. And now the forum is yours. You can shoot any type of questions and I'm here to answer. And my final touch is like, I'm ready to take up any suggestions so that it may give me a way for me to design a new model and submit it as a project or a publication. I think you can all unmute and come back to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants who would like to raise questions may raise your hands so that we can unmute you. Participants who wish to raise questions may raise your hand or post the question in the chat box, which will be conveyed to the resource person.
This is not a max class. You can ask any type of question. I am ready to answer. Because research is always carrying something. So I would like to ask or anything, whatever the thing, a smart, and I could say like a very small spark from your end may make me to go to the next research level. I'm ready to learn from you all. You can just come back to me. Yes, sir. Professor Abdul. Professor Abdul Hashib Ghani. I think I should pronounce it. Sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
Actually, my question is how to convert given data into fuzzy.
Sir,
Fuzzy or rather into picture fuzzy.
Sir, I didn't hear you. What, sir? Hello, sir. Can you repeat the question?
Actually, my question is how to convert a given data into fuzzy, which the data is in the form of crystals.
Yes.
So we can convert it into fuzzy or rather into picture fuzzy set.
Yes, sir. Based on the membership function only. We define the levels. What are these levels? Based on the levels. Say, for example, if you're asking me a question like, how do I set this aspiration level is, I may set 65 to be the best mark in my class. And my parallel teacher, Abdul sir, can have it as 75 marks. So the neighborhood points. So based on the neighborhood points, we fix these levels. And all the values which the data which we get it will be in a raw form. So based on this aspiration level only, we convert the linguistic variables into crisp form.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And I wanted to add up one more point, like, say, for example, in my class, many people get fail mark. For example, my class only, sir, you need not get worried. So if many people get fail mark, I put it in a trapezoidal rule saying that all the things are x is less than or equal to the target value, because my target value is minimum 40 marks you should get. That means I assign 0 value. So I convert this into a trapezoidal rule or a triangular fuzzy rule or a Gaussian in such a way that my original data is being converted with respect to linguistic variables and crispy numbers. Any other questions, sir? Madam, professors?
Yeah. Miss Rita?
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Very.
Yeah, ma'am.
How
My
are you, ma'am?
question is a little bit different. I have enrolled myself for PhD, and the topic for my PhD is to find a new method to solve assignment problem and transportation problem. Now, my doubt is, whatever are the existing method, apart from that, we need to develop some other method, right?
Yeah, exactly. One thing,
And then,
Rita, ma'am. Yeah,
yeah, ma'am.
Rita, ma'am. I can throw you some light on this. Say, for example,
Yes, ma'am.
this transportation or assignment, transportation, there is a link between transportation and assignment. Both can be converted into linear programming problem also, correct? Now, the
Yes,
problem
ma'am.
is in transportation for a child, when we ask, the student will say that based on the supply and demand, I go for the necessary condition. But in assignment, one mission has to be allocated to one person. There is no supply, there is no demand. Am I correct, ma'am?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
my idea to you is like, already this Hungarian method is considered to be one of the best algorithm.
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
the complexity involves, in this complexity, how can we go ahead with this is like, my idea is you can adapt this genetic algorithm and extend that concept to some bipartite graph or something like that. Any complex or complicated structure in assignment or transportation, instead of using a decomposition or allotment method, we can go for genetic, because the selection of the route is in our hands. So when we touch this genetic algorithm in machine learning, we have some kind of operators like selection, mutation, crossover. So in all these problems, the final objective is the number of iterations should be reduced and my algorithm should work very fast and it should run within very, say, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So please find out a way and try to justify how your new algorithm is far, far better than the existing.
Yeah, but I'm realizing the existing methods are so good.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that will be there. That will be there because
Correct
after
topic.
completing, yes, ma'am, after completing PhD also we'll have a feel that whether have you completed or not. It is like that.
Yeah.
But
And ma'am,
how
what
to
are the
find
good
out?
journals?
Yes, ma'am. How to
Which
find
are
out
the
the
good
loophole
journals?
is,
Yeah.
say, we found a loophole. For example, I'll give you another real-time application. The real-time application was like when we come across through some heavy traffic or something like that. Recently, we submitted the project. In Chennai, within one minute, we could see that so many accidents happening. Am I correct, ma'am?
Yeah.
So, when many accidents are happening, we immediately thought of for finding one traveling salesman problem, saying that how this people will communicate from that place to the hometown where ambulance should be ready. From that place, ambulance should come to this place very fast. So response time has to be reduced. What are the problems they face over here? Like that, you can design a new thing. You can take some electrical thing, you can take anything, ma'am, any application oriented, design a new algorithm. The base is going to be same. The traveling salesman problem, 2 root conditions has to be satisfied. That you cannot change it.
Okay.
But what are the complexities involved in designing a new algorithm for a new application is your task.
And what are good journals to publish your paper?
Ma'am,
mathematics?
yes, ma'am. I will always tell you, like, maybe you can take my number,
Yes, ma'am, please.
8610.
10.
Shall I post it here?
Yeah, ma'am.
8610 878916. So
Exactly.
I will post you in WhatsApp like what are the journals. When the journal, when you just talk about it, we cannot expect next month I should get a publication. And I always tell my children, my research scholars, like, go for some good journals. Don't pay so much of money. Wait for some time, like under Elsevier or Springer. But there are some journals which are not Scopus indexed, but when you see the previous article publications, it would have been very good. So design it. My first way is go for plagiarism. Write, put a notebook, write in your own way. Own way you have to write it. This control C, control V should never happen. A new notebook should be there. You have to write in your own language what I have understood about the problem. So the plagiarism will not be there. After designing it in your own way, you try to fix the variables. Let the variable be yi, let the variable xi, like that. After solving it, give it for plag check and give it to the journal for unpaid. And after doing it, you will get it published, ma'am. Don't get worried.
Thank you, ma'am. We have one more question at chat box. Can you give a small idea about fuzzy and some relation between fuzzy and algebraic concepts?
Fuzzy, I'm not very good in algebra, honestly speaking, but somehow I got nice marks in my undergraduation, post-graduation. So, but anyway, I can give a nice concept of this. First one is, I think in algebra, normally we study groups, rings, etc., etc. Correct, sir? But I think I can construct one lattices. Sir, I don't know who has asked, like, can I address to that?
Vignesh.
What, sir?
His name is Vignesh, ma'am. He is posted in the chat box.
Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry for it. Vignesh, are you here? Mr. Vignesh? Okay, Mr. Vignesh is not here, but anyway, I'll post it live. So there are some applications related to the lattices, which I have read it in some articles. The lattices, normally they try to have, it is used in all chemical bonding structures and in medical field also, how the bond should be. So when we have the same pattern, if we are able to design the same pattern of this lattices, and we can find out a membership function for each and every lattice, and we can convert it into a fuzzy number. That is possible. This I have read it, but I have not worked on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Is it Vignesh?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, no issues, no issues. But the same application is available in graph theory also. No problem, Mr. Vignesh. It's not a big deal. Like, I think, have you understood, or any other question if you have, you can just post it.
I think that's all with the questions, ma'am. Now I request Joseph sir to take over.
Before that, can I just say one word, like, actually? Thank you, Principal Ma'am. Thank you. Thanks. A very big thanks to all the professors during this pandemic situation. It is very difficult to organize. And I salute each and every faculty of mathematics division and the coordinators, and especially dear participants. Thank you all. Stay blessed. Be at home. Stay safe. Yes, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam, for your lucid and informative presentation. Your passion towards teaching transcends boundaries and inspires many, madam. As the audience, all of us got benefited. Now I welcome Dr. Usha George, Principal, Patrician College of Arts and Science, whose constant encouragement and support has helped us to scale up to this level of organizing an international webinar. Now, with much honor, I would like to call upon
Sir,
Dr.
1 minute,
Usha
sir.
George.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. Dr. G.N. Ramakrishna sir has asked one question. Is there any simple method of solving degeneracy in simplex method? Professor, I just wanted to answer to this question. So I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm very sorry.
It's okay, ma'am.
Degeneracy always occurs. And normally we teach the students saying that if my allocation is less than, and it should be like m plus n minus 1, something like that mathematically. But the significance, geometrical significance is like, if I have this much source and this much of supply, this much of demand, it has to be met in such a way that I have to allocate it perfectly. And if it is less than, I try to allocate it in some place which is not being allocated, such a way that this degeneracy is eliminated. But when we use this MATLAB coding, it just gives us a nice result in which place we can allocate this epsilon to eliminate the degeneracy. And mathematically speaking, m plus n minus 1, m number of rows, n number of columns minus 1 should be equal to the number of allocations. So if it is not equal, then only we go for an allocating one small epsilon, which is epsilon is very small, so it tends to 0. Now, I understand, sir, it is in simplex method only. In simplex method also, it is possible. Not in, I'm not talking about transportation. In simplex also, it is possible. Okay, sir.
Okay, now I welcome Usha George, Principal, Patrician College of Arts and Science, whose constant encouragement and support has helped us to scale up to this level of organizing an international webinar. Now, with much honor, I would like to call upon Dr. Usha George, Principal, Patrician College of Arts and Science, to felicitate the August gathering.
Thank you, Joseph. You hear me?
Yeah, it's clear, ma'am. It's clear. Yes, you're audible, ma'am. You're audible.
Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, first of all, informally thanking you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm also very happy.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Good evening to all. Actually, it's really heartening to see that more than 80 participants have responded and are participating in this webinar at such a time. And I was listening to the last, say, 5 minutes of your session. It was such a passionate delivery by Dr. Vijay Lakshmi.
Thank you, ma'am.
I must appreciate the Department of Mathematics. I must appreciate the Department of Mathematics for having invited such luminaries for the webinars, 3-day webinar. People from different places, Dr. Kalyani, basically from VIT, Dr. Andrew from Russia, Slovak Russia, and of course, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, who is handling the session from Central University. Let me first thank all the resource persons for having agreed to come and create these sessions for our participants. And of course, without the participants, nothing can move forward. I should appreciate them also and thank them for participating in this webinar. In spite of the various webinars, series of webinars that are happening in and around the college at this time, in various colleges at this time. The question answer session that took place now also made me to think things would deliberately have been really interesting, informative, and figuring out the minds of the participants to be clarified. So well clarified to the participants, give them tips as to how they have to proceed further for their research work. Apart from that, where, in which article, how they have to go about their research writing, the tips that you have given to them will definitely be helpful and useful to them. I'm sure all the participants will agree with me that the department has taken all the efforts to get to you some really good experts on this area of subject, the recent trends in application of mathematics. And one thing that I would like to state is that it is a collaborative effort of both Shift 1 and Shift 2, which has led to this kind of a beautiful webinar to be organized, a very informative and useful one to be organized. My congratulations to the department for that. I thank you all once again. Stay safe. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now I call upon Professor Nagarjun, Head, Department of Mathematics, Shift 2, Patrician College of Arts and Science, to propose the vote of thanks.
Professor. We have come to the end of this 3-day international webinar. It's time to thank everyone who made the program a grand success. At the outset, I thank Reverend Brother Johnson Rick Tanapar, Director and Secretary, Dr. Fatima Vasant, Academic Director, Dr. Usha George, Principal, and Dr. Geeta Rufus and Dr. Meena, Vice Principals, and all faculty members of Patrician College of Arts and Science for their encouragement and support. I extend a deep sense of appreciation and gratitude to the resource persons, Dr. Kalyani Desikan, Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai, Dr. Andrea, Technical University, Slovak Republic, and Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, Central University of Tamil Nadu, Tiruvallur, for their valuable knowledge sharing. A special mention of thanks to Professor Martin Bhaskar, Assistant Professor, Department of Visual Communication, Patrician College of Arts and Science, for technical support. I thank the faculty members of Department of Mathematics, Patrician College, whose efforts has made the program successful. Last but not least, I thank all the participants for their enthusiastic participation. I once again thank one and all. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to thank Professor Nagarjun, Head Department of Mathematics Shift 2, for his technical assistance and coordination in making this webinar a grand success. So thank you all. And this is for the kind information of the participants. The feedback link will be sent to your email ID shortly. Kindly submit your feedback. After validating your feedbacks, certificates will be sent to your email ID. Thank you all for joining us on all the 3 days. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. And special thanks to the management and the principal ma'am and the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share some of my research. Thank you, sir.
You're
Can I
welcome,
leave,
ma'am.
sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, participants. We are closing this session now.